In this video, I don't know if a lot of you remember or not, but I do have this Jasper Remanufactured 283, and somewhere on here, I don't remember where it had actually had a tag, and I don't know where it's gotten to, but it has. I got this engine horse trading in a deal with a guy. He gave me this engine for painting up a 283 for him, so I just painted this one up at the same time. This was a Jasper long block. He gave me two 283s, a totally worn out one and this reman one that he said, well, he said it was reman. I really don't know nothing about it, but I tore the worn out 283 apart and used the valve covers, the intake, bought a remanufactured water pump. I used the balancer, timing cover, oil pan, manifolds, distributor, all that stuff. And the worn out 283 was a 59. So all this stuff on this 283 is 59. It says it's GT of 9 as a date code on the intake manifold. And the engine long block is 1965. It was out of a 65 half-ton pickup truck. This thing's pretty dirty. I've had it for, I don't know, good cobwebs and stuff on it. I've had it a good 30 years anyway, and I've done nothing with it. I thought if I ever got a Parkwood that didn't have an engine, I'd have an engine for it. But anyway, the water pump's reman, fuel pump's new. It's even an AC Delco. I rebuilt the distributor, new vacuum advance. It's got the oiler. It's out of the 59 283, the distributor. It's got the points and condenser in it still. It's got a new coil. I have the air cleaner. I rebuilt the carburetor. It's got the temperature sensor, new oil sensor. This engine had positive crankcase ventilation. It didn't have a road draft tube, but if I use it, it'll probably get a road draft tube. And the pickup it was out of was a manual shift. So it's a manual shift engine. But anyway, I'm going to put the carburetor on it. I'm trying to clean up around here. This is a little apparatus I made to lift engines. And I put that on there just so nothing would get down the intake while Dave had the carburetor on his 59 El Camino. And he drove it about a summer on it until he could get his carburetor straightened out. Anyway, he got it straightened out and gave me my carburetor back. So I'm going to put it back on the engine here. I do have the air cleaner for this. Somewhere around I got generator brackets and a starter motor for it too. But the starter won't bolt on with it on this engine stand thing. So I've never started it. It's like I said, I've been told I have the dipstick. I've been told it's a reman, but I don't have the tube that goes in the block. And but anyway, let me get the carburetor on it, and well, I'm going to turn it over a little bit by hand. I can't remember the last time I turned it over either. There we go. I got the carburetor or the mounting plate. This is what I made to lift these 283s. I have another one, bigger one, that'll work on square bore Rochester 4 jets and Carter spread bores. I've made a few of these over the years just to lift engines. But anyway, I found a gasket, or the gasket that was on here. And we'll throw the, I don't want the carburetor to get damaged. That's why I want to put it back on the engine. It's been just kicking around the garage since Dave gave it back to me. He made little washer things. That's why this tape's on here, where the throttle linkage, it's like rubber with metal washers on each side. And it's like inserted into the rubber bit. Anyway, he turned them on his lathe, made a set of them. And so that's why that's there. So I'm just going to leave that there. Let me get the fasteners. This hose goes over that. Looks like I need to cut the end off a little bit there. But anyway, let me get that thing bolted down. There we go. The carburetor is reinstalled. And it's all adjusted right and everything too, because it ran good on Dave's 348. So it should run fine on this 283. There's no gas in it. We dumped all the gas out of it, and it's totally clean of gas. Let's turn this thing over and make sure it still rotates. Get some gloves on here so I don't tear up my hands. And let's see if this thing, we'll turn it over maybe one turn. Oh yeah, it turns easy. I've had this engine probably at least 30, maybe 35 years, and never run it. It's got 40 over pistons because I shoved a camera down in the spark plug hole. And you can see the writing on the stamping on the pistons. But yeah, she's nice and free. It's coming up on, it's got the plugs in it, so I'm moving it through the compression. Yeah, I put a bunch of oil in the cylinders and so it could sit long term if needed. But yeah, it's got a pilot bearing in it still, as you can see. And somewhere around here I got a manual bell housing, and I have another 3-speed like what's in the Bel Air, a Muncie 318. So I can always put this thing together with a manual gearbox. But if I do a Parkwood, it's going to be a Powerglide, automatic, Powerglide or Turboglide. Anyway, there, I just wanted to, this is the first time I've had this motor out of there since I put it there in 2013. So I moved here, I brought the motor here, and there it's been sitting. There it is. I just put a bag over the carburetor and kind of Mickey Mouse taped it. And yeah, I do have the fan blade for it, and the air cleaner is up in the garage somewhere. I got that tube. This pipe through the manifold, it goes in one end here where it draws the heat for the choke and comes out. I don't know if you can see it or not. It'd be kind of above that spark plug shield right there. It kind of goes through the manifold straight through, and got a little bit of junk in it, but that's no big deal. I don't know if you can see it in the, yeah, actually it comes out right there. That's the intake, so the choke sucks dirt in because it's sucking stuff from there through here up into the choke. There's a little piston in there that's your choke pull off, and those get worn out, and then these engines load up when they're cold because that gets worn out from the dirt, just from that little bit of suction there. And the tube is, I don't know, I'll get a light so you can see it. There you go. Now you can see that tube where it goes up through the manifold for the choke heater. I think I'm going to stuff some rags in the, I thought I had a rag stuffed in each port, but they must have fallen out or something. It's got R45S's in it. Brand new also. Looks like I need to wipe the bottom of the oil pan off there, but I'm not going to worry about it. That'll keep it from rusting. Although it's all painted, so it shouldn't rust. So maybe I will just give it a quickie wipe off. There I go. I just throw a couple towels over it to help kind of keep it clean, and then I throw that plastic over it, and I'll shove it back under there and set that back over. It won't roll out from under this. It hits this edge right here. I made this bench so I could store the 283 under it and still, have storage space. Ready for the bench to go back over it. This is the other lift plate I made right here. This will do square bore Rochester Ford jets. That'll fit the 348 intake manifold, and it'll also fit the 350 or small blocks with the spread bore quadrajet. jet. And this fits the small 2 barrels. So I'll just kind of leave them with my engine lift here. It's just a good place to store them. There, it's all buttoned back up for sitting until maybe I eventually, if I find a Parkwood without an engine, I got an engine at least. But yeah, it's a little bit of work moving all this stuff. but I didn't want that carburetor to get damaged, so I thought the best place for it's back on the engine. And one last note, if you watched my last video on installing the dash cam, front and rear view dash cam in the Bel Air, it's a Viofo A229, I believe. Anyway, it states in the directions they can be mounted over a dark tint. And I found that if you adjust the aperture, you can adjust it on this camera, open it up a little bit, it makes up for that tint, because it states right in the directions it can be mounted on. You know, a lot of cars have tinted glass, so anyway, it can be mounted on dark tint. You know, you see some of these vehicles, their back windows are really dark, so you just open up the aperture a little bit and that solves that problem. So that is the cable's real tiny too that goes to the rear camera, so that fits up in trim and stuff really well too. But anyway, that's it for this video. If you like the video, definitely hit the like button. If you like my channel, you can subscribe by hitting that 348 engine icon. And thank you for watching my video.